Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was a pretty fun movie, and honestly, for being the fifth movie in this franchise, it was pretty good in my opinion. So let's talk about it. As always, this video will have spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, head over to my shorts or my TikTok and check out my one-take movie review on this movie. But without further ado, let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now personally, I really enjoyed this movie. It reminded me of the original three Indiana Jones movies. Nothing against Crystal Skulls, I really enjoyed that too, but there is something magical about those original three. But anyways, this movie was fun. It was entertaining, it had tons of great action and witty humor, and just reminded me that Indiana Jones really defines the action-adventure genre. By no means was this movie perfect, but at the end of the day, I was entertained and I really enjoyed it. So let's talk about what this movie was about. So in this movie, Indy and his goddaughter are looking for the Dial of Destiny, but when he discovers that an old Nazi from his past is also looking for it, he must get to it before him and stop him from changing history. Starting things off with the good, and this is pretty obvious for an Indiana Jones movie, but the action was really good. I thought the opening of the movie with that train sequence was probably one of the best action scenes in the whole movie, and honestly, everywhere we went in this movie, there was at least some type of action adventure going on, and that's probably why it made me feel like I was watching one of the old Indiana Jones movies, because this movie was pretty much action adventure all the way through. Yes, you had to suspend your disbelief a couple of times, but it was nothing terrible. I mean, well, outside of the kid flying the plane, but I'm just gonna let that one slide for now. It was the only time in this movie where something happened and I was just like, all right, come on here. But honestly, it was just fun seeing Indiana Jones in big chase scenes like he usually is, in these big action set sequences, and also just seeing him throw the meanest right hook ever on screen. But as I said before, the action was really good in this movie, and it was easily one of the highlights of this movie, as it is in every Indiana Jones movie. And next up for the good is Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, it was expected that Harrison Ford was going to do great in this movie as Indiana Jones, and he did. At this point, he's pretty much synonymous with the character. I mean, Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. And you can really tell when watching this movie that he just loves to play this character. But one of the surprises for me, and honestly one of the more entertaining parts of this movie, was Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Helena. She was both witty and entertaining, and her character really just fit this Indiana Jones universe really well. Her back and forth slash banter with Harrison Ford was really good in this movie, and in my opinion, they both had really good chemistry. And also, she would have these one-liners every now and then that I just really enjoyed and I thought were kind of pretty funny. And that leads me into the next good thing about this movie, and that is the humor slash charm of this movie. Now, all Indiana Jones movies are known to have this kind of witty humor and charm to them, and I don't think this movie did as well with that as the previous, like those first three movies, but I still think it was pretty good in this movie. Now, these aren't necessarily laugh out loud moments, but the humor in this movie is well timed and makes you chuckle a little bit. Now, it was pretty easy for me to get into the humor of this movie because I am a big fan of witty humor, and that probably explains why I like Helena so much in this movie, because that was pretty much her whole character in this movie. But I could see someone getting a little annoyed if you're not so into witty humor. Next, let's get into the so-so, and the only thing I really have here is that de-aged face that they put on Harrison Ford in the beginning of the movie. Now, this is something that I was already pretty skeptical on after seeing it in the trailers, and after seeing the movie, I will say, I guess it turned out well, but there were some points in the beginning there with that de-aged face that it was very noticeable and it just wasn't that great. But there was also some other moments that the de-aged face looked pretty good and felt like that old Indiana Jones that we got in those first three movies. But it was noticeable at times when we had that de-aged face. It just didn't seem like it moved like a normal face would, and didn't really show the emotion that a normal face would. And that was just kind of weird for me. I mean, it wasn't all the way bad. As I said before, there were some times in the beginning of the movie there when they had the de-aged face that it was pretty solid, it was pretty good. but there was other times where it just wasn't that great, and I think it could have been a little bit better. And finally, let's get into the bad. And the thing I have here is that this movie was long. Now, I did enjoy this movie all the way through, but I'd be lying to you if I sat here and told you that this movie didn't feel a little long. There were times in this movie where I thought this movie was almost over or even could have ended, but it just kept on going. So you really feel that runtime in this movie. And I think that may be because some of the action sequences in this movie were kind of long. I mean, that opening train sequence was about 20 minutes long to start off the movie. And although I enjoyed all of the action sequences all the way through, there were times where I'd look up and realize, hey, this action sequence has been going on for quite some time now, and we could probably wrap it up a little bit. There were also some other scenes that I think were dragged on a little too long. I mean, overall, I think this movie was like a 2.5 hour runtime or something like that, but I definitely think this could have been cut to just under 2 hours. But all in all, this is another fun Indiana Jones movie in my opinion. It has plenty of action and adventure to remind you of those old Indiana Jones movies. Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge were good together, and although this movie won't blow you away, it's still a good send-off to the Indiana Jones character in my opinion. Those are my thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Be sure to let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments, and as always, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, get your Easy Apparel at shopeasyapparel.com. God bless, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.